Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds seem stacked back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watch from the sidelines one too many times. Wicked games we play make me wanna lose my mind. Found solitude knowing it'll be over soon. Ever need a boost, count on me for the 1-2. Trouble don't last when the tough get going. Baby, all we do is win, so show me my opponent. Adversity, doubt, stress, could care less, cause how we handle those like an S on our chest. Super proud of how we held it down on the way up. Can't wait for our day to ball, this is a layup. Nobody ever said this would be easy, but trust when I say that you got it. I know you've been looking for a breakthrough, trying our best to make do. Every day is something new, but change don't come, oh yes it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promised land. Somebody loves you, please don't forget such. Take your time, no need to feel rushed. We gon' shine somehow one day. Word word to O'Shea, today's been a good day. Don't let one bad apple spoil the tree. The fruits of our labor seem ripe, can't you see? A little insight so they'll never dim your light. Been wrong for too long, this here feels so right. Leave your fears in the rear view, right now on the mission. Trying to stay the course on this road to redemption. Giving up seems tempting, but no need. Cause I got you and you got me. A little UNITY will get us by. Through the storm and the rain, I'll be by your side. Look alive, the best has yet to come. Just some words of wisdom, plenty more. I know you've been looking for a breakthrough, trying our best to make do. Every day is something new, but change gon' come, oh yes it's true. Brighter days are straight ahead. Follow me, won't be misled. Just look up, don't hang your head, and we'll get to the promise, yeah. And it may seem like things ain't working out, but I know we gon' find a way without a doubt. Just hold on a little longer, you gon' see this through. I've been there and certain things always remain true.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Lou Reviews, your destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. I am your host, Luis Jimenez. Please do not forget to smack the like, share, subscribe, and bell buttons. You guys know the deal. That way you're notified anytime we go live. And not gonna lie, we got a pretty good suggestion from Justin S. on a schedule. He's saying Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 to 6. And I'm not hating it. Not hating it. Maybe, Justin S. Possibly. I'm thinking about it. We'll see. But I definitely like the 3 o'clock start time. I think that might be the best one. So if we do go to a schedule, 3 o'clock start times, I think it's going to be the thing. So, you guys, welcome to the show. We've got some stuff to talk about, primarily Matt Ford and what is the bad stuff about the Good Trouble show. We're gonna go over as much of an episode as we can. I'm not gonna go through the whole episode because we would be here for 6 hours with rebuttals to all of the stuff that is claimed and said in his interview episode with Ross Coulthart and Garry Nolan. There's some we're gonna play the whole thing. As much as we can anyway. We're gonna stop it where we have rebuttals. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're just gonna dissect it as much as we can in 2 hours. And then we're gonna get the hell out of here. There's been some other things that have happened today. Nothing insane. I mean, Jaime Maussan's alien presentation in West Hollywood, which, damn it, I wish I had, I wish I had gone to, but I could not go. But I heard it was a technical nightmare. The sound went out in the live stream, which is hilarious. I saw a clip of him defending himself, why he's so controversial, because he's a truth teller. It's like, no, you're controversial because you're a liar. Like, straight up. Straight up, dude. Like, you lie about a lot of stuff, and it seems like this alien mummy presentation was pretty terrible, pretty bad. There was some things that Alex Dietrich said these things a while ago, but it was made into a clip, and I thought it was an interesting clip. And there's also some things from Tanner F. Boyle, who was the first interview on Weird Reads with Emily, first live interview, that is, on her channel. And so I just followed him on Twitter, and he's got a really great, I haven't watched it yet. I'm assuming it's a really great before I've watched it, but based off of the interview with Emily, I think I'll like it. So he's done his show's called Tanner F. Boyle is Getting Spooked, and so that's the name of the show, Getting Spooked, the second installment of Christopher Bledsoe and the UFO Cult of Intelligence. Within a visit to Dr. Jeffrey McDonald, Chris Bledsoe's proximity to Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty, and his interactions with UFO scholar Diana Pasulka. Link is in bio. And so, yeah, we're going to go through this, but not today, unfortunately. We just don't have the time. And then the last thing I wanted to just sort of quickly reference, and maybe, again, we'll get into this Friday at 3 o'clock, is the Big Think article that they wrote about... it's literally called The Humiliating Truth Behind Harvard Astronomers' Alien Spherules. And, this is basically, in short, right here, what's happening. All of the beryllium, lithium, and uranium concentrations found in Loeb's spherules, not spheres, spherules, I think I got it. Spherules. They contain them fall well within the expected range of coal ash. So essentially, the average elemental concentrations of those 12 clearly I don't have it, spherules, are found in the Coulthart database for 98% of the elements examined, 49 out of 50 of them. The pattern, as he calls it, is not unique and can, in fact, reproduce using the standard coal NIST standard. In other words, it's coal. Like, it's terrestrial coal ash. Curiously very similar to the collected spherules. So it's not alien, it's not interstellar, it's not extraterrestrial, it is very, very much terrestrial. It's a long article that explains all of the details about it, but that's the part where I was like, okay, this sums it up right here. This is what the article's about. Essentially, it's coal. So that's what you get in your UFO stalking, a whole bunch of coal from Avi Loeb. So yay! Congratulations, Galileo Project. Congratulations, all the people that donated to that cause. And I can understand why you would. But now, here we are 3 years later, and still no information on any of the camera systems that he set up. This turns out to be a whole bunch of coal, and the FBI is investigating Avi Loeb and the Galileo Project. So that's what we've gotten so far in the last 3 years. I've always said, even when we had him on the show many times, Avi Loeb, we're not gonna understand the impact of his work until a few years down the road. Well, now we are at few years down the road. 3 years would technically be there. So we're at a few years. And so far, we've got nothing but caca. Simple as that. But anyway, just wanted to quickly review that. Let's get on to... I was watching a video about the Cybertruck. Is it bulletproof? It is up to a certain caliber, and they shot it with a 50 cal, so that was kind of cool. Even though I don't own any guns, I still think shooting guns is kind of cool, especially when it's at a Cybertruck. Okay, let's see here. There was also this other thing I wanted to talk about, unhidden We'll get into it. I don't want to get into it right now, but I'm sure you've seen them pop up in your feed here and there. So this is, and let's go ahead and do this as well. My good old fair use, which is already up. This is transformative work. We're commenting and critiquing the video that we are sharing. Primarily, we are mocking the video that we are sharing, and this is covered under fair use and allowable by law. Yeah, the link to this episode is in the description. So if you want to go watch the whole episode, because I know we're not going to get through the whole thing, feel free. Let me say this. This is the first full episode of Matt Ford that I've been able to sit through. And the first half of this was even more difficult because you had two really pretentious people. And I thought, like, Ross Coulthart is pretentious, but Garry Nolan and sort of his, it's just, his body language just oozes elitism to me. He's so elite. And I don't even think he likes Matt Ford at all. Like, he kind of like is like, okay, like, are we done yet? Kind of vibe to him. Obviously, they're all very irked and very pissed off because the physicists and the scientists in the room have said, we haven't found anything worth scientifically studying yet. The day we do, we'll let you know. But so far, nothing. And, anyway, we'll get it. Let's get into it. But I just had to preface, I guess, the conversation with that. So, and also I'm going to point out a lot of things. Well, I said we're going to get into it, and I keep pausing, but there's just a lot of thoughts rushing into my head as I'm watching this for the third time, which is like, I think I've had enough Matt Ford for a lifetime after 3 viewings of this episode. But there are so many things that he throws out in such a fast pace where it's just like, whoa, okay, a lot of claims there in such a short time, but let's have him speak for himself. This is his opening monologue, which, by the way, the credits at the end of the show, should preface this here as well. I always look at credits, always look at credits. So it's written by Matt Ford, and there was another guy here. I don't know if anybody knows who this person is. Tommy Carey. If anybody knows who Tommy Carey is or what his role is in producing this show, and this is created by both of them. So both of them got together, collaborated, and said, hey, let's create something. My feeling, my gut is that Tommy Carey is uplifting tweets. That's my feeling. When you look up Matt Ford, okay, and primarily when you look up their political action committee called, what's it called? It's such a Stand for Better. Stand for Better Political Action Committee. I made it all one word, but hopefully Google can figure it out. PAC, Stand for Better. OpenSecrets.org. Okay, so it tells you here how much money they spent. It's very easy to find where this PAC is located. I'm not going to reveal the address or the phone number connected to that, but not hard to find because this is a political action committee. They were raising money, political monies, to create campaigns and ads to support Democratic leaders within the Democratic Party. They failed miserably at it. And they started noticing in 2024 and 2023, because they only raised $6.35 thousand in 2022. I'm curious to know, where is 2023? And they spent $5.4 thousand. So they made a total of $1,000 in 22. They lost money in 20, and in 23 is missing for some reason. In 2024, so far they've spent $904 and they haven't brought in anything. This is such a weird thing. I don't know how updated this is, but regardless, that's neither here nor there. The point is that they have a political Democratic Action Committee that also moonlights as a conservative, very extreme right-wing members of the Republican Party when it comes to the UFO discussion. Moonlights with that crowd, and then during the day has political videos every once in a while bashing Trump. Like if that's some sort of useful media tactic. It's the worst thing you can do and I wish the mainstream media, well, they don't care. They don't give a shit. The mainstream media just wants as many eyeballs and views. And guess what brings eyeballs and views? The crazy train wreck that is Donald Trump. He is a television magnet, has been since the day he was born, since the day he came out of his daddy's womb. Yes, you heard that correctly. Like, this man is a ratings monster. The best thing you can do, if you had any integrity, is not, and genuinely disagree with his philosophies, his policies, his criminality record. If you genuinely disagree with those things, the best thing you can do is not talk about him, not cover his rallies, not cover the things he says and tweets and whatever. Like if mainstream media wants Donald Trump to lose the 2024 election, which I think they do deep down inside, I don't think they want that. I think they want Donald Trump to be president because they know that's 4 more years of really good profit margins. And to be honest, it's 4 more years of great comedy. I don't know if it's 4 more years of good for the country. Don't want to get into that conversation. We can have a very long conversation about that, maybe one day, but not today. Anyway, again, I digress. These guys are like playing both sides of the coin, depending on what argument they land on. And so Stand for Better and the uplifting tweets seem to have been very well connected just by the fact that they share each other's memes. He's created artwork for Matt Ford and his show. He's like, so these 3 elements, I think, have something to do with the production of this show. I could be wrong, or maybe that 3rd element is this person, Tommy Carey, in the credits for the show. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there as well, even though I said we would start this a little while ago. All right. Just like, again, all these things that are sort of popping into my head as I'm thinking about it.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Matt, and welcome to the Good Trouble Show. The Pentagon released its long-awaited report on the historical record of U.S. government involvement with unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP Volume 1. This 63-page piece of Pentagon propaganda lies.
Pentagon propaganda. I'm going to be stopping this a lot. Because someone critiqued me the other day. Oh, well, you let it play for so long. How's this transformative? Well, my rebuttal to it was very long, if you noticed. So anyway, but we'll be stopping it a little more just for that reason. Because there is some truth to that. There should be a little bit more stoppage. So we'll probably get through like 30 minutes of this if we're lucky. But hopefully we'll get close enough to Nolan. Anyway, Pentagon propaganda. Coming from this guy that is rich. He is literally the spokesperson for propaganda. And it also says in the credits that this show is written by Matt Ford. I think it has a ghostwriter. I think there's a ghostwriter to the Good Trouble Show. And if he's not a ghost, he or she is not a ghostwriter, there's someone who sends this guy bullet points on exactly what to highlight and exactly what to talk about. He almost sounds like Daniel Miller in a way. He almost sounds like Marieke von Klompenstick in a way. He almost sounds like UAP Mike. In a way, his mannerisms, the way he presents facts and calls things what they are, even though that's not what they are, just says these things, right? So here we go. And yeah, this is just, anyway.
To congressional lawmakers, their staff, and more importantly, you, the American public, and the world writ large. The report is the swan song of the former director of the Pentagon's UFO program.
And let's be 100% clear. He has a, what they call a teleprompter. And to be honest with you, teleprompters these days are not that expensive. You can get some really, really good ones for under $200. And so he has a script. There is a script for this show. He claims he writes it, and it was co-created by this the Carey fellow. I can't remember his first name, James. Hey, it's not James. That would be Jim Carrey. But anyway, yeah, I think there's a ghost writer to this. Wouldn't shock me if it was a Lou Elizondo or a Ross Coulthart or a Garry Nolan. The way they sort of, I don't know. You guys tell me, but I know for sure he's definitely reading a script, because that's what he does. He doesn't do anything off the cuff. He's told what to say. And everything is approved. Hey, is this okay? Can I talk about this? Hey, would you like to come on my show for a half hour? Oh, boy.
The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Now, due to either sheer incompetence or outright purposefully torpedoing the truth, Dr. Kirkpatrick's ego-driven leadership was nothing short of a dumpster fire.
Okay. First of all, every single lawmaker has praised Sean Kirkpatrick. Gillibrand, Rubio, and I don't know who else has been asked about him, but there hasn't been any publicly bad words said from either lawmakers that believe in this stuff, and that includes Burchett, that includes, they don't like the report, but they don't ever have any personal attacks against the person who was there when the report was written. And this office was created by your requests. It was created for you. It was applauded. It was cheered when it was in the NDAA, and there were rumblings when the AARO office came together from the usual suspects about how this office was going to be undermining the truth. They've already been sowing that discourse before the office was even put together. So this guy calling it a dumpster fire and unmitigated disaster is a joke. It's a joke. He literally is being told that. But it gets even more specific on the things that this guy knows. A lighting technician in Hollywood, no offense, but just like another actor in Hollywood who knows the retirement policies when it comes to veterans retiring from the military and their health care. Like the intricacies of those things. You're an actor in Hollywood. Why the fuck do you know that? It's the same things that I'm asking myself as to why Matt Ford is very specific in the things that he says. But you'll see for yourself. I just need to pause it every fucking 10 seconds because he does little diatribes like that all the time where he just bashes, throws in conspiracy theories with no facts. Zero. No, highlight like I do here, with the internet displayed so we can look things up. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is just written. This is written. And I haven't been able to, I'm going to try and pay attention to it this time. But in the back of Garry Nolan, there's a clock. And I'm curious to know when the interview started, where that clock was versus where the interview ended, and how much was either edited out or popped out, or if there was none left out or popped out. I think there was, but I haven't been able to keep an eye on the clock because I've been trying to listen to what people are saying. What's another thing I was going to say about Garry Nolan, but I'm sure it'll come up. Anyway, let's go.
Today we have a special show for you. First, we will do a deep dive into what Congress and you may not know about AARO, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and whistleblower David Grush, followed by a pre-recorded interview from earlier today with Stanford professor Dr. Garry Nolan on his thoughts on the AARO report. We had to do this interview earlier today, just schedule-wise, that was his only availability. Finally, investigative journalist from News Nation, Ross Coulthart, will join us live to discuss his take on
News Nation, a right-wing leaning news organization that a Democratic Political Action Committee president is applauding. Not because they do good journalism or even a remote shred of anything close to journalism. It's because they agree with his UFO belief. Because orbs follow this guy home.
On this mess. But first, please hit the subscribe and thumbs up button on YouTube.
Let's not.
Want
to skip this part? Nope.
On YouTube,
don't need to go there.
Chats want to volunteer.
Yep, good on that.
We've kind of had some weird stuff happen on YouTube. Hopefully we'll stay up. For some reason, it'll say out of the blue, no data. So if for some reason our feed goes down, it should come back up. I've also, for some weird reason, been getting a lot of just strange phone calls on my cell phone. So who knows? Big Daddy.
Because your cell phone is public information. When people start looking up information on your political action committees, you have to register a phone number with it and an address and all that other stuff. Because if you're going to collect money and donate it to a Democratic call yourself a political action committee, take money, you have to give that money to a political action committee. And because of that, you have to publicly disclose who you are. So that could be the reason why you're getting phone calls. And your stream is not crashing or no data is coming because there's some conspiracy to shut down the good propaganda show. That's what I feel like he's inferring there. You know, it's always like, I don't know why. Gee whiz, I wonder why. Like, you're such a... Here we
Daddy,
go.
Ronald Moultrie is trying to...
His voice is just... It's just got that nasally... He sounds like a Muppet. Sounds like a Muppet.
To derail us here. Anyway, okay, so moving on. So yesterday, the Pentagon's UFO office, AARO, or the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, released the, quote, report on the historical record of U.S. government involvement with unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP Volume 1. Just sounds like a freaking horror movie. The report noted...
No, it doesn't. It sounds like a long government title for a government study. It sounds pretty much on par to me.
That, quote, AARO found no evidence that any U.S. government investigation, academic-sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed that any sighting of a UAP represented extraterrestrial technology. Also noting that, quote, all investigative efforts at all levels of classification concluded that most sightings were ordinary objects and phenomena the result of misidentification. And perhaps one of the most telling statements, quote, AARO determined, based on all information provided to date, that claims involving specific people, known locations, technological tests, and documents allegedly involved in or related to the reverse engineering of extraterrestrial technology are inaccurate and was the
okay. So I think it's starting to become clearer and clearer who these 40 people were that AARO interviewed. And I remember saying this when they revealed it was 40 people that AARO had interviewed. 40 witnesses had come forward. All of these witnesses are people we publicly have already heard from. It's Danny Sheehan, which we learned this week. It's I don't think Lou Elizondo testified, but it's definitely David Grush either chose not to or or was ignored. I don't know what the story is there, but if he was ignored, he could show the emails that prove he was ignored. But I don't think he was. I mean, there have been other people close to him that have said, yeah, that's why he didn't go in, because he knew he couldn't trust the office. So which one is it? Did he go in or did he not go in? Did he try? I think they're trying to now reverse that one, because I think it's going to be shown very soon whether or not David Grush even attempted to have a conversation with Dr. Kirkpatrick. I'm going to guess no, because that's what Dr. Kirkpatrick said. And until he's proven to be lying, that's what my gut says, that he didn't even try, because there's no trust in that office to begin with, for whatever reasons. But it's the Robert Powells, it's the Christopher Mellons, you know, it's like all of these guys that we could, Jay Stratton, you know, gosh, I'm struggling with all these people. All the guys from Skinwalker, Bigelow's, you know, like they're all of these people are going to be people that we know that are tied to all of the same people, from the Bigelow era and the OSAP era and the ATIP era and all of those bullshit programs. Like, they're going to have a tie. I promise you, all 40 of them. And then when Arrow looked into these claims, like, for example, we went over Danny Sheehan the other day. Danny Sheehan is making up, and now, like, when you really break down this story, because now they're putting some real attention on it. And you know, he's confessing that he's got the proof. And then when he does the interview, there's zero fucking proof, and he's avoiding questions left and right when it comes to Danny Sheehan. But the idea that he walked into this top secret, you know, meeting or facility where they were going to give him access to the world's most classified stuff. He took in a notepad. He just snuck it in under his arm. They didn't pat him down. They only checked 2 IDs. The hall wasn't even lit. According to him, there was no lights on. Nobody walked him to the door that he had to go into. There was no security. It sounded like the security at a Walmart. Like, they had a blue little, you know, vest, and they're like, with the receipt. Okay, go on. Just get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You got a TV? Okay, yeah, it's not on there. Just go. Go. Like, he gets in there. Like, he says to himself, for some reason, well, I don't know how long they're going to let me stay in here, so I can't read anything. I've got to just look for pictures, and starts going through microfiche film after microfiche film, looking for just the picture, finds a picture of an alien craft crash, supposedly, which has this alien writing on it, which he drew on my show, and now the picture's going or making its rounds again because people forgot that he drew those symbols on my show, and didn't read the context around the pictures, didn't stay there until somebody said, "Hey, all right, time's up, you got to go." He just picked up his shit and left. After he wrote it on his fucking legal pad. And now, the legal pad itself, where's that? Nope. Hard-hitting journalist Ross Coulthart didn't fucking ask him. Do you know how much validity that would add to the story if Danny Sheehan it wouldn't add a lot, but it would be interesting if he had a legal notepad from the 70s, which you can date just by the way it's made, and it had the markings that he originally wrote from what he saw. That would be compelling. But that's not the case. It's just another fucking, trust me, bro. I saw this. I saw a picture on microfiche film. The room was really spooky. And it was low lit, and there was 2 husky security guards. Like, trust me, bro. And he went into the Arrow office and sat in front of Sean Kirkpatrick, a fucking physicist, and gave him this story. And God bless him, probably said, okay. Well, we'll take a look into it, but just so you know, before you leave from this office, chances are the things you were looking at were probably out of context. And the meeting or the facility that you went to was probably set up to make you believe that that's what they had. They knew you were a Jesuit priest, and it would not take much to convince you that this stuff is real, and maybe even used you in a disinformation campaign unwittingly. And instead of Danny Sheehan going, shit, that sucks. Really? Can you prove that? Yeah, we could prove it, because when we looked into the stuff you talked about, we couldn't find it. Or if we did find it, yeah, it was a program that you took out of context. So to sit here and I'm sure we'll get into it here in a second. Oh, thank you so much for the donation there, Moonlight. LOL. Ha 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 you ha. Lou reviews, my local public library has better security than described in those places. I agree. A public library does have better security than the security that was in this situation with Danny Sheehan. But like, these are the people that are walking into the Aero office. And I think legitimate, and Sean Kirkpatrick isn't the only one there and isn't checking every single thing. I don't think he's micromanaging all of the people that work in that office. I think they've been hired and trusted to do a job on their own independently. And when they take Danny Sheehan's stories or anybody else's story, Grush's story, and they're like, oh, wow, okay, parts of this are interesting. I think you're being genuine. I think you're telling the truth. Let me look into these things. And then they genuinely look into these things, and all of the same things are found. And primarily it's, you misunderstood the information, or you mistook a testing for something otherworldly. And I know that's not fun to hear, but that's the truth. And no matter which way they slice it, no matter what proof they put on the table, it is unacceptable to them. And he describes this in his op-eds. And he describes the idea of the Department of Defense and these, warmongers of the military-industrial complex love this self-licking UFO ice cream cone, because it keeps all of their toys very much alien. And that's exactly what they want. But now we've got a new layer in the national security apparatus, and that is drone systems, enemy drone systems, and balloon systems, and listening and spying devices. Those are very real issues. And those also get mistaken for UFOs. And those also don't get reported because military members think they're UFOs, and they don't want to be yelled at or ostracized for saying, hey, I think I saw a UFO. And these reports and all of these things that are coming out are made to destigmatize this stuff, because we've got a big national security issue. Anyway, let's continue with this shit show that is Matt Ford.
Is the result of circular reporting from a group of individuals who believe this to be the case despite the lack of any evidence. I mean, come on, really. This conclusion is absolutely no surprise considering where it comes from. Aero's former director, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Now, the first thing everyone should consider is that Sean is replacing one conspiracy with another. Think about it. In his recent op-eds in Scientific American, Sean has gone full conspiracy theorist, spreading a wacky tale that a group of UFO zealots has hoodwinked Congress into believing that the government has a secret UFO crash recovery and back engineering program.
That's exactly what's happened. And that is as clear. It is as crystal clear as Pepsi in the 90s, early 90s. Like, it is crystal clear Pepsi. That's exactly what's happening. because it's Travis Taylor, it's Garry Nolan, who thinks he's been abducted. It's you, Matt Ford, who thinks orbs follow him and his wife home. It's the spooky stories at Skinwalker Ranch with the werewolves smoking cigarettes, and the dino beavers, and the portals, and the weird spooky stuff that happens there, even though nothing spooky has ever been caught there. Ever. No scientific evidence whatsoever for any of the claims that your side is making. You guys, this is what you have to understand, Matt. You guys are the ones making the claims, not us. We're not claiming things are coming from other dimensions, worlds, times, whatever other realm of dimension you could possibly think of. We are not claiming these things. You are. We are saying that the things in the sky can be explained as very prosaic if there's enough data, especially when all the data is there, or enough data to determine what the hell we're looking at. And that's why I think, honestly, I hope part 2 of this report, or part 3, I've heard there's 3 parts now. I thought it was going to be 2, but I'm hearing 3. At some point, I would love for them to release the full versions of Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac to destroy the conspiracy theorist cult thinking that shows like this pump out every single week. Because I think if the American people see all 3 of those, game fucking over. Game over. If the Department of Defense is genuinely serious about squashing conspiratorial thinking like this, about squashing intelligence officials or community members that are maybe on the fence of believing some bullshit, like, show them that it is bullshit. Show them. And they've already, the thing that, again, that people are missing as well, like, the Department of Defense just basically said, yeah, it's our shit. It's our toys, and yeah, it's a bunch of drones that our enemies are making. And balloons. Yep. But it's definitely not alien. That is, without a doubt. It's definitely not that. They've gone that far. And they said, the thing that people like Jimmy Church were screaming for, oh, why won't they say extraterrestrial? They said it like 40 times in this report. And it usually was prefaced with, yeah, it was not extraterrestrial technology. It is definitely not extraterrestrial tech. It did not come or made by extraterrestrial beings. They used the words that you guys wanted to destroy your sandcastle of nonsense.
Convincing members like Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who, by the way, had zero interest in this topic. Now, Sean supposedly doesn't believe
Nobody in the world has zero interest in this topic. I just had to say that. That's pretty stupid.
Quote-unquote crash retrieval program conspiracy, but he promotes a conspiracy theory about Congress. It's a conspiracy theory he throws out with absolutely zero evidence, none. Sean Kirkpatrick is saying to you, trust me, bro, it's all a conspiracy.
This is how I know they're watching our show. And they're watching Cambian's show. Because they use this phrase, trust me, bro, so many times. And I know that it's getting to them. Because they are the ultimate trust me bros. So I found that very humoring.
Conspiracy. Don't worry about the evidence. The Pentagon has your back. How un-American. And how ignorant do Sean Kirkpatrick and the Pentagon think the American people are? What Sean Kirkpatrick is telling you is that a whole group of former high-ranking government officials, military veterans, and scientists with the nation's highest security clearances are willfully destroying their reputations and career based on some silly beliefs.
No. All of those men retired under their own volition. David Grush, Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, all of them retired willingly, by their own admission. So nobody's trying to destroy anyone's career. Again, where's the evidence, bro? No, I will not trust you, bro. I will not trust you, Matt Ford, especially you.
Belief system to fool Congress. Was
Fool
David Grush,
Congress.
a decorated military intelligence official who held more security clearance tickets than just about anyone duped? Was Senator Gillibrand duped?
Yes.
Was Senator Marco Rubio duped and
Yes.
other members of Congress?
Yes.
Was the Inspector General, who had the authority to investigate and see all of the classified data whistleblower David Grush based his PPD-19 allegations on, duped?
Right there. PPD-19 allegations. What the fuck is a PPD-19? How the fuck does this guy know what that is? Why is he writing that in his diatribe here? This is the moments like this where I'm like, oh shit, there's a ghostwriter here. There's somebody else helping Matt Ford with his bullshit. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. And there are a lot of moments like this. Okay? And the ICIG, when he says it's credible and urgent, is not referring to the alien claims that Dave Grush is making. That has also been established.
Well, that's what Sean Kirkpatrick wants you to believe with zero evidence.
Again, Sean Kirkpatrick is not making claims. He's questioning the claims. And he's asking, where is the evidence? And then when he's told where the evidence is, he can't find it. Because it's not there, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Or it falls into a classified program that they're not allowed to reveal. But it's not alien.
How fucking arrogant is that?
Ooh.
Now, speaking of evidence, Dr. Sean
Ooh-wee.
Kirkpatrick said this to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand 1 year after taking the helm at Arrow.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, Arrow has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and Senator Gillibrand agreed with him and said he was doing a fantastic job. And when he took over this job, they go into at some point, oh, well, he's only been here. Well, you know, I'm just going to let you play him.
So Kirkpatrick
We'll
has never
get there.
stated, not once, what the Arrow evidentiary standards are. Not once.
The evidentiary standard is, okay, tell me where the alien crafts are. Tell me where they are. I know a guy who works in a program who worked on the U. Have you heard of Bob Lazar? And they're like, okay. Really? Like, oh, dude.
Kirkpatrick tells Gillibrand there is no evidence of, quote, extraterrestrial activity. Sean, based on what evidentiary standards? What constitutes clear and compelling evidence to you of NHI?
A craft, feces, a body, a playlist, a massager of some kind. I mean, we have many different here on Earth. So fair to say that somebody maybe drops one of those or forgets a water bottle, an intergalactic water bottle, some trash, some garbage, like some kind of, pollutant. Maybe, it's a long trip. Or, yeah, maybe they're AI. Okay, well, maybe, where are they? Where's the AI, occupants that are running these things? I think that would constitute proof or them showing themselves. Because right now there is no evidence. There is no evidence whatsoever Zero. There's more evidence for human manipulation into getting people to think that they're seeing aliens and UFOs. There's more proof of human manipulation than there is proof of alien visitation. That is fact. So he doesn't have to set a standard. You dickheads do.
I mean, does Kirkpatrick need a freaking Klingon bird of prey to land in the Pentagon parking lot? What about his public statement regarding metallic orbs doing non-prosaic things?
Metallic orbs doing non-prosaic things has been shown over and over. Could be balloons in the breeze or balloons as a drone system. We've already gotten from Arrow that the cube within the sphere was a drone. A very high-tech, highly maneuverable, high-altitude drone. So shut up, you moron.
How about the material analysis he sent to Oak Ridge National Laboratory run by Battel's mouthful, Battelle Memorial Institute, which he later claimed was a missile casing? Right,
yeah, that's the mysterious metal that was owned by Linda Moulton Howe, then bought up by TTSA. Then TTSA sold it to the Army in a CRADA agreement, and then CRADA gave it to Arrow, and they came to the conclusion that it was a missile casing. Why is that not believable? Why is that so crazy? Linda Moulton Howe's not a metallurgist. Neither was anyone at TTSA. And why the fuck, if it was so important, why did you give it right back to the people that you don't trust? It doesn't make any sense, man. Matt Ford. God. Oh, what is this, Gotham City?
Where is Sean Kirkpatrick's evidence? Where is Arrow's evidence? Did Kirkpatrick and Oak Ridge Battelle send the test data for peer review?
Here's another thing.
Peer-reviewed papers?
This guy.
Who fact-checked?
This guy won't debate anyone. All of these claims that he made about Mick West in a 3-part fucking interview with a guy who gets his facts from a fucking garbage dump. When Mick's like, okay, let's have a debate. Let's talk about it. Bring your proof and I'll bring my evidence. Let's see who's right. Just like he did with Marieke von Kloppenstick and made him look like a von Kloppenstick that he is. Come on, man. Like, come on.
Checked Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
How do you know he's full of shit?
With this material. We don't know. We have absolutely no idea because Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick wants you to trust him and the Pentagon and forget about the evidence. The
evidence that you already publicly had that you sold right back to the military. Yay! Like, what the hell
is that? Now, notice Kirkpatrick and company continue to use the phrase aliens and extraterrestrials. You even see this space aliens thing with Julian Barnes of the New York Times pushing, or more so parroting, Pentagon talking points. He does it all the time. Why? Because it...
Whose talking points are you peddling? Matt Ford.
allows Kirkpatrick and Arrow, it allows them to leave out sort of other likely explanations that all of this is not from some distant planet. It is a sneaky, lawyerly way of avoiding accountability by having plausible deniability.
This guy's not a lawyer. This guy knows shit about the law, and I would love to debate him on this evidence, just simply evidence, and see how well he could hold up when people actually ask him real difficult questions. I promise you he wouldn't do well. He wouldn't do well. None of them ever do. None of them ever do. Look at this mug. I mean, who am I to talk on looks? Look at this mug.
Quote, we never said it was non-human intelligence. We said it wasn't space aliens or extraterrestrials. It is their get out of free jail card, so they are not liable for it being something else. And let's face it, I don't think any of us know where this is from. So you must ask yourself how Sean arrived at all these conclusions.
We have to talk about this. I've never covered this guy because I don't want to, that for these exact reasons. And this is not going to be like an every show thing. But this interview, this episode in particular, is important to highlight because I don't think anybody's ever done it before. Nobody's ever highlighted how this dickhead gets away with just saying all of this bullshit to a whole bunch of cult followers. Like, I think it's high time somebody actually does that. And like moments like this where, God, I know he's not writing this stuff. Like, and if he is writing it, damn, dude, I don't know.
After all, he stated that Arrow had all the power needed to investigate this quote-unquote conspiracy. Kirkpatrick didn't tell you the whole truth. Now, while Arrow was legally authorized to receive classified information on anything to do with UAP, it had zero, and I underline this, zero power to investigate it. Kirkpatrick has not been telling you the full truth. None, absolutely none of Arrow's agents, including liaisons from the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and the FBI, had 1811 authority, or what is called special agent authority.
Why does a lighting tech know about 1811I special agent authority? Who told him that information? Where is he getting this from? Because that's not what Kirkpatrick is saying under oath in Congress. He's saying, yeah, we've got all the access we need, and we need this title to get into certain other things. But for the most part, yeah, we're getting the answers we need. Like when he was asked what he needed that title. What is it? This title that he's talking about?
Liaisons from none, absolutely none of Arrow's agents, including liaisons from the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and the FBI, had 1811 authority, or what is called special agent authority. Now, what does this mean?
I believe it's Title 11.
This means that Arrow
1811
agents could not conduct search and seizure, they couldn't make arrests, they couldn't depose people, they couldn't subpoena anyone. So you ask yourself, how can Sean Kirkpatrick, how can Arrow conduct a thorough investigation without 1811 authority?
I think it's very simple. If Kirkpatrick or any one of these people with the authority that they did have found any inkling whatsoever about a reverse engineering program and that they were being lied to, they would turn around, go straight to Congress and say, okay, we need to get this title authority right now because we believe that there's information being obfuscated. This office now needs the authority to go into this program and see what's there. And then we can determine, okay, what's classified versus what shouldn't be classified versus what should Congress know and what should lawmakers know and what the public should know. It would not be difficult at all because I can tell you right now, Congress always wants, lawmakers always want to find a win when it comes to fraud prevention or crime. If they could prove that there are special access programs that are reverse engineering alien technology, trust me when I tell you, they want to know about it, and they created this office with that purpose in mind. And when that authority is needed, I think that authority would be granted like that. I don't think you would get any sort of combative nature from lawmakers, and lawmakers would be the ones who grant that authority. Now, if you get obfuscation after that or to that point, that's where things are going to get very interesting. But you could at least publicly point them out. And now you have smoke where there could be a very big raging fire. But this idea that, oh, because they didn't have this, what clearly somebody told you, this special access, which you do not say where you got this information from, Matt Ford. Who told you that? Because I don't believe for 1 second that a lighting tech in Hollywood knows anything about the intricacies and the ins and outs of congressional laws and title authorities and the ability to raid, arrest, subpoena. You know shit about that. Nothing.
The answer is you can't. So while Sean technically had access to these programs, he could not legally demand to be read into those programs because he had no special agent authority, and the 40.
So he had access to the programs, he could see everything that's there, and if something stood out, he could get the authority he needed. And that was said by Senator Gillibrand.
40-ish people that work at Arrow do not have that authority as well. Now, when it comes to special access...
How does he know that 40-ish people work in Arrow? Where's he getting that information from? Why is a lighting tech with a YouTube channel knowing specifics about the Arrow office? Who's telling him this stuff? Because he's not calling the Arrow office and finding out. He's not digging through files like a gumshoe detective with one of those magnifying glasses going, okay, how many employees does Arrow have? Somebody fucking told him that.
Access program compartmentalization, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what compartment you don't have access to, and neither did Sean Kirkpatrick. The gatekeepers of the crash retrieval and back engineering program and its portfolio manager, the CIA, knew he had no power to enforce any of this.
These guys have been gatekeepers now for 70, 80 years. They've been gatekeeping. Not one credible person has come forward.
Do you really think these people who have been illegally hiding this for decades would just volunteer the goods to Arrow? I mean, of course not.
Why wouldn't they? They have congressional protections. And again, like we were talking about the other day, how these guys, especially when they hit retirement and they get to these moments where it's like, shit, I got to get this off my chest because it's not a national security issue. You're not telling me there's not one who had direct access to these programs, this technology, these bodies, these parts, this technology. Like, not one of them in that time frame has been like, fuck, man, I need to tell somebody, like, other than my therapist or my wife or, close army buddies. Like, I need to tell somebody because I know where it is. I know where the goods are. There's not one person, not one Edward Snowden within these legacy programs. Give me a fucking break, man. Give me a break. Give me a break, dude.
Kirkpatrick was impotent. Now, Kirkpatrick has repeatedly taken passive-aggressive shots at whistleblower David Grush for not going to Arrow. Now, first, David Grush knew Arrow did not have the investigative authority required. Grush had already provided classified information and testimony to Congress and the Inspector General.
So he didn't go, even though he's been making a big fuss about it that he has been. So Matt Ford is being told, he's being told to say this because they're trying to defend Grush any way they can. First it was, I wouldn't be interviewed. They refused to interview me. Now, that narrative has changed to he didn't even want to go because he knew they couldn't be trusted. Nobody trusted them. What a fucking shit show. What a shit show.
Kirkpatrick has repeatedly taken passive-aggressive shots at whistleblower David Grush for not going to Arrow. Now, first, David Grush knew Arrow did not have the investigative authority required. Grush had already provided classified information and testimony to Congress and the Inspector General.
Oh.
This is new. It was also well known that advisors...
Yet the Inspector General and Congress haven't done shit when it comes to David Grush. And not one of David Grush's buddies, co-workers, confidants, people that were there with him have come forward to defend him. Not one. What does that say to you? In the locker room that is the United States military. Give me a break, dude.
Well known that advisor Sean Kirkpatrick brought onto Arrow were and are under active investigation by the Inspector General. Let me repeat that. Advisor Sean Kirkpatrick brought onto Arrow are under active investigation by the Inspector General.
So what? So what? What does that mean, Matt Ford? He doesn't clarify.
Now, Grush testifying to Arrow would likely have jeopardized those active investigations.
So he didn't go to Arrow. That's why they're not providing the emails. That's why John can't find them in FOIA requests, because David Grush never went to Arrow. Breaking news. David Grush never went to Arrow, according to propaganda mouthpiece Matt Ford. He never went. So there's another lie that he's been busted in that they have to now twist into something else before somebody calls him out on it, or before the FOIA requests come back empty, because those things never happened. Or they got wind that Kirkpatrick's gonna be like, all right, I'll show you the emails. One of those things happened for them to change it to this. Come on.
And of course, he wouldn't want to do that. Now, whistleblowers refusing to go to Arrow infuriated Kirkpatrick. It humiliated Kirkpatrick. In November, Sean used...
Now he's refusing to go to Arrow, and it humiliated Kirkpatrick. Why would that humiliate Kirkpatrick? Why would he give a fuck? Kirkpatrick's job is literally to find the aliens. He wants somebody to come to his office that actually has that proof. But that wasn't Grush. Grush didn't even come in. He refused. But yet told everybody that it was the Arrow office that refused. Just amazing.
...a United States Senator to try and squeeze David Grush to go in and testify. So, Dave Grush emailed Arrow and the others on that group email and said to Kirkpatrick, look, I'm authorized to discuss any UAP special access programs, but am I authorized to discuss with Arrow the associated conventional programs that are part of the crash recovery program cover-up? You see, Dave would have had to have discussed with Arrow...
Make sure you read it right. Make sure you read it right, Matt Ford. Look at his eyes. He's got, I get that? I'm gonna make sure I'm trying to make this make sense, because I can't make sense of it myself, so I need to read it.
To discuss with Arrow the associated conventional programs that are part of the crash recovery program cover-up. You see, Dave would have had to have discussed with Arrow the non-UAP related compartmented programs to explain the nested hierarchy
Following the ball there,
of how
Matt?
the Pentagon and the CIA were hiding the crash recovery and back engineering programs from Congress. The reply to Dave from Kirkpatrick stated, quote, we can...
What is the proof that the CIA is hiding the UFOs from Congress and the whole world? Where's that proof? Where is that, Matt Ford? Where are you getting that from?
...receive any and all UAP-related material. Dave said, fine. Please provide in writing that I am cleared and protected to discuss any classified non-UAP related programs. Kirkpatrick's reply, we can handle everything, Dave. Just come on in. Trust me, bro. Kirkpatrick.
It just doesn't sound it doesn't hit as hard when you say it, Matt. Trust me, bro. it does not hit as hard as when I say it or when Cambion says it. You just sound like a fucking Muppet. Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
Patrick would not provide in writing to David Grush that he was authorized and protected to discuss ancillary classified programs. Why?
Why would he need to? The law protects David Grush. The NDAA protects David Grush. Why would Kirkpatrick need to add an additional personalized protection to David Grush? He can't do that. This is so stupid.
Because Kirkpatrick knew that getting those written authorizations from ODNI and others would take months. And Kirkpatrick's time was running out. Kirkpatrick, he was hell-bent on clean...
Who are they going to blame for part 2? Because part 2 is not written by Kirkpatrick. This is the last sort of fingerprints that Kirkpatrick is leaving at the Arrow office. So who's going to be to blame for part 2? Because already you guys have said the new director, yeah, he's okay. He's okay. You've dipped your toe in the water. But when the report part 2 and part 3 are in the same vein, I wonder what you guys will say then. I have a feeling it'll be something similar to this bullshit.
Cleaning up those loose ends and getting Dave in the door of Arrow, but refused to give written assurances to David Grush that he was protected.
Listen, you Muppet. If Dave Grush has that information and Dave Grush gives it to Arrow, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to look into it. They're going to verify it. And if it can be verified, the very next thing is a senator and protection of that witness. Because if the technology that he is claiming he knows a guy who knows a guy, who's going to... If he makes that information public and somebody kills him, that's exactly what's happening with Boeing right now. Shit, dude, it's going to be a big deal. And people are going to be like, okay, why the hell did that just happen? Weirdly, right after he revealed the most compelling data the world has ever seen. It's like, do you have the guts, Dave, or you don't? Do you want to be the hero that you said to yourself that you had to be? You want to be doing this? Well, you've chosen yourself, pal. You've stepped up to the plate, so fucking step up. Step up. Yeah, sometimes you got to take risks when you're making big fucking claims. So yeah, I understand why Arrow's like, yeah, no, we're not going to write extra protections for you. You've already got the protections through Congress. If the data that he says checks out, I'm sure there will be other protocols for you post that. But yeah, tell me what you got first. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell you what I got. Bye.
We've literally risked an unauthorized disclosure and jail time without written authorization to discuss the unrelated classified programs had he gone in and talked to Kirkpatrick and Arrow.
Had he gone in and talked to Kirkpatrick and Arrow? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was saying something else there. I was like, wait a second.
Now, it would have been a trap that Dave would have walked into.
Oh, it would have been a trap now.
3 weeks. Think about that. 3 weeks before Sean's departure as head of Arrow, and Grush knew they would use his testimony to try.
Wait a second. I don't think the time of this makes any sense. When Dave Grush testified 2 weeks, so that means 2 weeks before Grush testified, that was 3 weeks before Kirkpatrick retired or left the office. So therefore he didn't have any confidence because the guy was leaving soon. So that means by the time that he got to Congress, there was only a week before he left that office. That was in last. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. I think somebody should check that. That doesn't sound right because my understanding is that Kirkpatrick left the office in like November, months after this. So they had more than enough time to, if getting the clearances from these other departments was the issue, they would have had more than enough time to do that. And there wouldn't have been a rush. There would have been months, literally months, not weeks, months. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You tell me. I'm pretty sure the timing of that is fucked.
Of course, Kirkpatrick, he just...
But again, who's telling him that? Who told Matt the exact retirement date of Sean Kirkpatrick? And was that date a week after Grush testified to Congress? I would bet no. But if I'm wrong, show me, bro.
Did that anyway. Now, word got around that Sean Kirkpatrick was sketchy as hell. And let's face it, he is sketchy as hell. And Arrow was a Project Blue...
Word got around where? Who told you this?
Book 2.0. Literally no one trusted Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick.
Who's
and Arrow,
no one?
And for good reason.
What were the reasons?
Straight to the Inspector General to file PPD-19s. And as a matter of fact, we notified certain members of Congress that this was going on as early as May.
Oh.
So, Sean Kirkpatrick announced his retirement in November, but actually, Sean decided to do this much earlier, and the public doesn't know about this. What is not known is that Undersecretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks was wildly upset and pissed off at Kirkpatrick going off the reservation with his unhinged, passive-aggressive LinkedIn post. So, Sean Kirkpatrick, as a fuck you to Undersecretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks, he decided right then to punch out at the end of the year and soon after landed a cushy gig at Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
So he did punch out at the end of the year. So he did leave in December. So that wasn't a week after Grush testified. So which one is it, buddy? Which one is it? And where are you getting this information that Kathleen Hicks was super pissed off at Kirkpatrick? Who's giving you this? These are some seriously... This guy doesn't answer any questions at all. But these are questions that should be answered.
Laboratories run by Battelle as Chief Technology Officer for Defense and Intelligence Programs. Now, what you may not know is that Sean Kirkpatrick at Arrow gave huge sums of money to Oak Ridge National Labs and Battelle in exchange for material analysis and this is important, and for Oak Ridge National Laboratories and Battelle to provide advisors to Arrow.
So what? That's one of the most prestigious laboratories on the fucking planet, and he's sending medals to get looked at by them. So yeah, in exchange, we'll give you some money and you guys can throw us some advisors because the work you did on these medals is amazing, and we could use a couple of these guys advising our team. Like, this is just normal, everyday corporate shit. And this idea of paying journalists, like, journalists are paid to cover stories all the time, especially by companies. That's a standard practice in a lot of industries. So it's not out of the realm that someone does some analysis for a certain company or a certain division or a certain department, and that department, division, or company goes back and says, hey, we love this work. Could we throw you a couple bucks, a couple shekels, and you guys throw us a couple of advisors maybe once or twice a week on the work that we're doing? Would that be fair? Yeah, I think we can do that. And you got a job opening? Like, it's like, dude, that's not out of the realm in the world of what these guys work in. It's just not. And you throwing this mystery and conspiracy on top of it, it's just stupid, man.
He paid them to provide advisors to Arrow. So now, think about this. Kirkpatrick is working for the agency he gave money to months ago.
So what? You're donating money to a Democratic National Party while propagating and promoting right-wing ideologies and conspiracy theories. Okay.
I mean, think about that. Talk about a conflict of interest. It's not only a conflict of interest, but it is actually illegal. U.S. Code Section 207 states former senior executive branch officials are prohibited from negotiating or accepting employment with any person or entity involved in a particular matter in which they were personally and substantially involved during the last year of their government service. This restriction applies for 2 years after leaving government service. And this is who Sean Kirkpatrick has been hired by.
Oh, no.
Kirkpatrick is an unpaid advisor to Arrow, which is a clear violation of the General Accountability Office's Anti-Deficiency Act, which prohibits people from working for free for the government. You just can't do that.
Unbelievable. Who is giving you these? I mean, listen to this shit. You think he just is spitting this off the top of his head and he researched and found this out? So dumb.
Leaving government service. And this is who Sean Kirkpatrick has been hired by.
I bet it's Richard Butt.
To top it off, Kirkpatrick
advising
is an
this
unpaid
idiot
advisor to Arrow, which is a clear violation of the General Accountability Office's Anti-Deficiency Act.
It's a clear violation of the General Accountability's Anti-Deficiency Act. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, come on. You are a fucking joke.
Which prohibits people from working for free for the government. You just can't do that. So, all of this comes down to two possibilities, if you think about it. Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick was hoodwinked and tricked by his advisors, or he was sent on a mission to torpedo Arrow by turning it into Condon 2.0, lying to Congress and lying to you, the American people, in exchange for the reward of a nice retirement gig at Oak Ridge National Laboratories. Now, personally, I think it's the latter.
Oh.
One of Sean Kirkpatrick's key advisors at Arrow was a gatekeeper of the crash retrieval program.
Who? How do you know this? Who told you this? Who did you talk to? Where did you talk to this person? How did you confirm this? Where did you verify it? Like, who told you this, Matt Ford?
Who worked out of the intelligence community. A gatekeeper. Somebody that was involved with keeping all of this illegally hidden from Congress. Now, as a matter of fact, there were more than a few of these legacy program gatekeepers advising advising.
How do you know this?
Kirkpatrick.
How do you know gatekeepers were advising Kirkpatrick? Because he got a job at Patel in a lab? Because he's a fucking physicist? And maybe his national security expertise trumps some fucking random rule in an ethics book that nobody knows about except for you for some reason? Like, do you think, like, if there is knowledge and expertise and value in keeping America safer, that they're going to keep somebody off the payroll for 2 years? Oh, well, it's unethical, guys. Gonna have to find a different way to keep the country safe. Can't do it with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. It's against the rules. The rules that absolutely nobody knows about. So we must adhere to these unknowable rules. Let us continue.
Which we revealed on the Good Trouble Show months ago. All of this begs to question, how did Sean Kirkpatrick know to bring these particular people in to advise Arrow? Who told him to? Who told Sean Kirkpatrick to bring in gatekeepers to manage the hen house?
I think it's really easy, man. You know, when you're asking, hey, can you throw us a couple of advisors for a small fee, your best people? Yeah, I think we could come up with a couple guys. And boom, there you go. It's really simple.
Also ask yourself this: what if Oak Ridge National Laboratories, Battelle Memorial Institute are part of the cover-up? The people Sean Kirkpatrick is now working for. Sean Kirkpatrick's former boss, Ronald Moultrie, was on the advisory board of Battelle, and funny enough, Moultrie had his links to Battelle erased on the internet after yours truly published his association with Battelle on The Good Trouble Show.
Oh, man, yeah. Gee, I wonder how you came across that information, Matt. It's so funny, dude. You find somebody's name on a fucking website and therefore about us. Executive leaders. I bet if we go through all of these executive leaders, we'll find somebody connected to somebody else. Let me see here. Board of Directors. Kirkland Donald, Admiral, U.S. Navy, retired. Yeah, science and technology. A lot of science, technology, current affiliations, a lot of CIA, Hawkeye 360s, Satlantis, Center for Strategic and International Studies. Like, all of these people have jobs in the same realm that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick had before taking a job at Battelle, National Laboratories. Like, it's or the Battelle, whatever Battelle is. I'm sure they have a lab. Do they have a lab? I don't know. Anyway, like, it's their entire infrastructure, environment, industry, health, national security. Those are their expertises. Advanced materials is one of the things. Look at this, you guys. Like, this is their website. Advanced materials. Where did advanced materials go? Where were you? Look, right here. Advanced materials. Unmatched expertise. So if you got a piece of metal that somebody just brings in, and it's like, hey, we're told this is alien. Can you give us an idea? And Battelle applies over 90 years of expertise to develop industry-leading methods to global advanced materials applications by combining our deep legacy of physics, chemistry, biophysics, material science, and chemical engineering. We provide groundbreaking client solutions. So that's why the people that advised Kirkpatrick and Arrow seem very spooky to Matt Ford. They're so scary, just so scary. It's a company that looks at this shit, and that's their job, to provide national security. So it's not that crazy. Where are you? There you are.
This is the same Ronald Moultrie who testified to Congress about UAP as the head of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, the same office that has targeted whistleblowers, David Grush, Lou Elizondo. This is also,
not a
which
whistleblower.
You don't know, is the same Ronald Moultrie who refused to be briefed on UAP before he showed up in front of Congress. He refused. He did not want to be briefed at all on the topic before he testified in front of Congress.
Could it be because he already has the information as to what people are actually seeing? Because he would have access to those kinds of programs and classified things? He doesn't need to be briefed on a bunch of fucking fantasy on the toys that he knows exists.
Why? So he had plausible deniability in front of Congress.
We're almost to Gary Nolan.
Lied to Congress by willful ignorance. You have to ask yourself, did Moultrie promise to reward Sean Kirkpatrick with a cushy gig if he went along with the cover-up? It's interesting.
What kind of cushy gigs do you think will be given to Gary Nolan, Lou Elizondo, and Dave Grush if the Congress approves additional spending and independent spending to people like Americans for Safe Aerospace and organizations like Galileo, who all these guys sit on the boards of? Like, I wonder what kind of cushy jobs they'll get if that ever happens, which I don't think ever will. And I think that's why you're getting the backlash that you're getting here, and the upset vibe that you get from Nolan here in a couple minutes.
Abruptly left OUSD-INS just
all
2
those cushy
months
gigs
after Kirkpatrick left. This absolutely surprised everyone. This guy was a lifer. Everyone expected him to run his tenure out to the end of this administration. It's shady as shit.
No, it's not.
Now, at the end,
a lot of people have left and come and go from administrations all the time. All the time. And if they don't finish out their tenure, that's their right. They can retire whenever the fuck they want. And honestly, just because he retired around or close to the same time of this UFO nonsense doesn't mean anything. It's not shady as shit. He just fucking retired.
At the end of the day,
Weirdo.
we are left with the question of whether Sean Kirkpatrick was just incompetent.
Nope, that's not the question. The question is who is giving you this information, Matt Ford? That's the question.
Was doing the bidding of his minders. I can tell you from multiple people, no one, absolutely no one, liked Sean Kirkpatrick.
Who did you talk to that said that? Look at him.
These are people before ever dealing with him at Arrow.
Who? Who didn't like Sean Kirkpatrick? Who dealt with him? Who? What colleagues? You're just saying shit.
Multiple people decide.
You're just saying shit that Lou Elizondo, Ross Coulthart, Gary Nolan, these are all the things that they've all said about Sean Kirkpatrick. And the debrief, like, every person that has legitimately bucked this stupidity gets this label thrown at them.
Describe Sean Kirkpatrick as problematic,
arrogant
scientist who fancied
an
himself
arrogant
a
scientist
spy whose most important thing to him was being the most intelligent person in the room.
Who the fuck gave you that quote? Who the fuck gave you that quote, Matt Ford? If you're gonna say some shit like that, who gave you the quote? And how do you know that person has actually worked with Kirkpatrick? You're not a journalist, man, but you sure are fucking pulling out journalist types information without citing any of it or where it comes from. God, you're a douchebag.
What people should look into in FOIA is at Spacecom. He was Deputy J2 and was forced out.
Who told you this?
Reportedly due to how difficult he was to work with.
Who told you this?
Now, for the longest time,
I would love for the Department of Defense, man. I would love, like, again, I hope there are consequences.
I figured he was just the bumbling professor, but now after his actions, this report, in my opinion,
you think he's a bumbling
part
professor?
Of the Pentagon and intelligence community machine that continues to lie to you and Congress about the reality of UFOs, the existence of a UFO crash recovery and back engineering program, and continues to lie and cover up CIA's involvement, their Office of Global Access that is involved in running this whole crash recovery operation.
Okay. If that's true, then that is also true for every other government entity on the planet. Every other major player on the global scale should also have crash retrieve materials, back engineered programs, and a lot more data on the UFO reality. But they haven't come forward with it. You think that as big as China is, they would have 10 times the recovered craft that the United States have. And if that's true, that means that they've been reverse engineering these 10 times as many craft. And if they want to make the United States look foolish or win any sympathy for a communist regime like China, revealing this information would be a big move. A big, big move. And we've discussed this move many times before in the past. Why are all these countries doing the same thing? It doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I promise you, if I was the leader of China and we found alien craft that we've been working on for just as long as the United States, and we caught wind that the US was possibly thinking about releasing information on this, I'd do it the next day. I would encourage my leadership, do it now. Beat them to it. It only makes sense.
All of this report, this propaganda, this freezing out of journalists like Ross Coulthart, who will be on in a bit, and Chris Sharp, and others. That actually,
Chris Sharp, not a journalist. Marieke von Klompenstein, not a journalist. And he's admitted that. Marieke does not call himself a journalist. So you need to correct that, Matt. Chris Sharp is definitely not a journalist. He's a hobbyist. And that's putting it very mildly. Okay? He's a very special hobbyist. And that's it.
actually know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to this subject. Susan Go and the Pentagon froze them out, requiring the reporters that covered this to sign some kind of backroom deal that they wouldn't talk about this prior to it going public. That's propaganda. That is.
You reading the things that you were sent without actually looking into them, that's propaganda. You are propaganda. This show is propaganda. The title of the show should be called The Good Propaganda Show, or the UFO Propaganda Show, or the Bad UFO Information Propaganda Show. Your show should come with a warning label of pseudoscience, hearsay, trust me bro, and conspiracy theories.
That is the same kind of bullshit that happened in the 50s and 60s with the CIA buying off reporters in order for them to publish CIA talking points. It's wrong. It's un-American. All right, enough of that. So
but
I know
again,
it's a lot to dig into.
It's something that happens every day.
Let's move on to Garry Nolan. Now, there's a lot to unpack that we just talked about. So let's roll an interview we shot earlier today with Dr. Garry Nolan and see what he had to think about this dumpster fire of a report from Sean Kirkpatrick.
That's all, folks.
Our next guest is the Ratchford and Carlotta A. Harris Professor in the Department of Pathology at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Watch his face when he joins.
And the Executive Director of the Board for the Soul Foundation. Joining us today to give his personal opinion on the Arrow Historical Report, please welcome Dr. Garry Nolan. Dr. Nolan, how are you, sir?
Look at him.
Great. Nice to be here again.
Great. Nice to be here again. Thanks for having me, Matt. He does not want to fucking be there.
And actually, this will be your fourth time here. You're turning into a total regular here at the Good Trouble Show. So we're super glad to have you as always.
Same.
Excellent.
He does not fucking like you, Matt. He doesn't like doing your show. He doesn't like it. He'd rather be playing with his little fluffy dog than talking to your ass. By that same ditto.
Excellent.
Oh,
excellent. Okay,
man.
So let's dig into this thing. And of course, right before this, I aired sort of a deep dive into
Look at Garry.
Arrow, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and their methodology. What is your reaction to part one of this historical report?
Well, it makes me really worry about what.
Okay, so it's 11:07. We'll say 08. 11:08 in the morning. So just keep track of that. I think he was only there for about 15 minutes.
Part two is going to be. I mean,
that's for sure. It's not going to be a good sequel.
Sure will be.
Me, obviously, because it's a masterclass in unscientific bias. You know, the language they use, the conclusions they draw. It's, obvious that they decided what they wanted to say before they looked at a lot of the evidence. And that's just not how science is done. I mean, compare this.
What is the evidence? What is the evidence, Garry? What is the concrete evidence that Arrow should have looked at? Where is it? Tell me. What should they have been looking at, since you know where it all is? Why you know where it all is, I have no fucking clue, because these are supposed to be some of the most top secret programs on the planet, but you know where they are. And you know what's going on in them. More than Arrow. Wild. Okay, let's keep going.
Report to the French Comida report from 1999. Now, I mean, that's how you do a study, right? High-ranking officials, scientists, detailed case analysis. I mean, that's a model of academic and scientific integrity. But this 2024 report doesn't even reference that. I mean, and that's a case where the French came to the conclusion that many of these cases can be explained as nothing other than non-human intelligence, right? They'd already thrown out all the cases that had.
That's also a case from 25 years ago. It's a report written 25 years ago. And if you don't think some of the drone systems that we see today didn't exist 25 years ago, you're wrong. If you think some of the drone systems that we see in the military didn't exist 25 years ago, you're wrong. You're just wrong. So it's not out of the realm that the French scientific committee was incorrect in their findings, because maybe they were also getting confused for U.S. special projects or even French military projects or whoever. What other ally that is allowed to fly, I'm sure, in French airspace? I'm sure there's more than one.
Telltale signs of natural phenomena or mistakes. So, I mean, that bothers me, because this 2024 report feels like a high school hackathon project, right? Not a serious scientific inquiry. And it's really a disservice to the public and to the scientific community in general.
Oh, tell us more.
And here's one of the things. My sources inside of Arrow tell me that there was.
So now Garry has sources inside of Arrow. Who? Why does Garry Nolan have sources inside a government independent program? He shouldn't have access to that. He's literally admitting to you right now, I might have broken the law.
That there was a lot of pressure to rush this report out with preconceived conclusions.
I believe that.
I bet you do, Matt. I bet you do. I bet you do. Because you have to believe it, because you have no choice.
And that folks on the inside were unhappy
were
with
they?
the narrative being pushed. And the DNI was also unpleased at this point, post it coming out, because they weren't even given the chance to vet this in the way that they thought it should have been. So, when you've got a report that's pushing an agenda that, other than following the evidence, they basically push what it is their objective is, you've really got to wonder, what are they trying to hide?
I don't think they're trying to hide anything. And Gary's eyes also go from place to place too during this interview. I think when he's looking down, like when they were talking at the beginning, Gary's generally looking in this direction, but there are some times where he just looks straight up. I don't know. Maybe he's got bullet points written somewhere. I don't know. But it just seems like there's always things that they want to hit when they do interviews like this. I was told, trust me, bro, I was told that everybody within the Aero office was super pissed at Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, and this report was rushed out and rushed with just coming to conclusions without reaching them, even though we have clips of this guy saying you don't have to necessarily follow the scientific method and protocol to reach a conclusion. That's your scientific method, buddy. And now when they throw your method right back in your face, you get upset about it? Where's the science, Gary? You're the fucking scientist. Where's the fucking evidence? What's the evidence? Where's the papers of evidence that they should be writing on? Because any of the materials that you've collected are not paper worthy or worthy of study anymore because you just don't have the fucking time or you just don't want to do it. I don't know what the fucking excuse is there on your ball shavings. Now we've got the medal that your buddies and homeboys gave to the military, and then they came back with a study from one of the best labs on the planet going, man, that's a casing from a fucking missile. Sorry. And you're upset about it. Unreal.
They don't even compare to the 2023 and 2022 reports, which were, of course, reports of things that are different than this. This is a historical context. But they don't even give any of the numbers of what it is that they were covering over the last 40 years, right? So there's lack of detailed data, no geographic breakdown, no info on shapes and sizes of the kinds of things. They did define the criteria by which they were going to be coming to their conclusion.
But they already did that in the first few reports. They already put classifications on these things and where they are supposed to go and the reasons why they go into separate categories and why the unknowns are unknowns. And the unknowns are unknowns because there's not enough data on the unknowns. Simple as that. It's as simple as that.
So,
you want this big scientific paper on sightings and where they are and this and that. So it's like, dude, there's no evidence. What kind of fucking paper and like, you haven't been able to produce a paper on this topic yet. Why don't you write one, Gary, since you're so displeased? You're so fucking smart. You write a paper on this topic with all of the data you want to see. You're so smart. Go for it. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're not going to do that. You've got fundraising to do. And you've got ball shavings that you still haven't done. So, I mean, like, I know you're a busy guy.
If we want to get to the bottom of this, we need transparency,
that's
objectivity,
right. Yeah,
and a willingness to follow the data where it leads. And
follow your own fucking advice, pal. Because the data that is available leads to nowhere. Leads to this isn't real. Leads to you have a very strong belief system that you cannot avoid for some reason.
And the
or not avoid, but get a grasp of.
24 report fails on every account.
Now, when you say sort of disappointment on the inside, do you mean within Aero?
Within Aero. This is from people within Aero. Yeah. I mean, that place is not a locked vault.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
And
the place is not a locked vault. Okay, so then who the fuck are you talking to? And who is Matt talking to? Because apparently Matt's got some connections in there too. Or is this your connection to the people inside Aero and he just maybe making shit up? Is that maybe the case?
You just spoke about data, so it seems like they're making claims, without any data, which of course is what they...
because there is no data. There's no data. How can you make data out of nothing? What don't you dickheads get about that? Like, you guys keep saying, oh, there's so much data. There's so much data. There's so much where? Where's the evidence, man? Because I think if there was that much data, we wouldn't even be having this fucking conversation. We wouldn't have to have a government agency looking at this. We would have Stanford looking at it. We'd have Harvard looking at it, genuinely looking at it in the ways that you guys want. Every university on the planet would be diving into this head first, and I think universities would be filling up because people would want to learn about this data and evidence that's there. But there's not. There's not there. There's nothing there. Except stories, hearsay, trust me, bros, and conspiracy and lore. That's what you find. And I'm sorry, you can't write a scientific paper off of that bullshit. And just because you, Garry Nolan, was abducted as a child and you think you're special and have special DNA, and your buddy Matt Ford here has orbs that follow him home, but yet he doesn't take any video or pictures of them. Like, I'm sorry if I kind of roll my eyes and laugh at you two dickheads. Because look at you guys. You guys look miserable right now because Santa Claus isn't real.
What Kirkpatrick and the others, always sort of accuse us of is saying all this stuff without data. Well, where is their data? And
we don't need to provide the data, buddy. You do. You do. You're the ones with the claims. You guys have to bring the data to us. That's the way it works. You make the claim, you make the hypothesis, you bring the data to the table, people then look at it. That's the way it's always gone. That's the way it always works. So I know you guys are trying to change things, but you're pissing into the wind on this one. I promise you.
And are they going to present the raw data? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
And why aren't they?
It's the oldest trick in the book. Do as I say, not as I do. Arrow is deeply guilty of the very thing that they're accusing others of. In fact, of what most of the so-called debunkers do. And it's a problem more so because what they're doing is obviously deliberate, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of people who come forward with whatever their anecdotes might be or their results or their data, but they do so in the spirit of objectivity. But in this case, what they're doing is deliberate. They want us to take their word for it, no questions asked. That's not science. That's not how science is done. Science demands evidence. If they are so sure of their conclusions.
Now it demands evidence. I thought you could just skip a step or two if you're intuitive enough. Where is that fucking clip? Let's just pull up the clip. Because this shit that he's saying juxtapose to when he's on Calling All Beings and doing fucking UFO bullshit. The answers are different. The answers are always different depending on where these dickheads or who they're sitting in front of. And it's just so goddamn funny, but it's also insanely frustrating. Where is it? I know I got it here somewhere. Where's Nolan Science? Do I have it? Maybe I got it in this folder here. Give me a second, guys, because this is just a clip worth sharing here. Because let's see here, desktop. God, I got so many things on my desktop. It's insane. But here are nope, not that one. Troll clips. That's the name of the folder. Let's see. Where is Nolan Math? Nope, that's the Nolan Flutter. Hey, the hell? Where is this thing? I can find it on my phone. Way faster. Way faster. I thought for sure I had it in this folder. Can't believe it's not in here. So weird. That's very interesting. Where the hell did that video go? Anyway, I think you guys know which video I'm talking about. Nah, I feel stupid now. Well, I don't feel stupid. I mean, everybody's seen this video, but I feel like it's something that I should have. Let me check my other account here. Maybe it's on this one. Cuban B. No, not there. Come on now. You guys know what clip I'm talking about. Now it's going to drive me crazy because I think it is an important clip to just show right next to what this guy's saying, because he's asking for science and objectivity and, you know, going where the data leads, but yet having... Where's... Oh, found it.
Here's how I think about it.
Here's how I think about it. Okay, so again, sorry that took me so long to find, but I think it's worth it. This is Garry Nolan. Okay, now just remember what he just said about the scientific method.
Here's how I think about it. I think it's sort of like an intelligence test.
Oh, yeah?
It's rife for ridicule, but if you are sufficiently observant and smart, you can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
I'm all ears.
And so I can know that something is true without being able to draw a mathematical or geometric line between A to Z.
Okay. Got it. So it's okay there. It's okay there when you're coming up with your side of the evidence. But if somebody else does it to you who's got no data and is asking you for the evidence, it's a problem.
And so I think that's part of what's going on here.
Whatever's going on here, stop it immediately.
Do you know what is in front of you and what you're seeing?
Crickets. Crickets.
You know, and it draws you forward. I mean, it's very self-congratulatory, obviously.
Obviously.
Thinking
Why?
that, you know, we are the chosen. It's
Thinking that, you know, we are the chosen. He thinks he's chosen. He does. He thinks he's been chosen. He's been abducted. He's one of the chosen ones. And it's real no matter what you fucking think or say. And I will skip every single scientific method to get to that conclusion, no matter what it takes.
et cetera. And it's, you know, it makes you similarly subject to ridicule. But I don't see it as that. I see it as people who are showing the way.
Oh, he's showing us the way, guys. He's showing us the way. How about
no?
How about no? You ain't showing shit, Garry. Nobody's following your way.
Why? Hi.
Not investors, not your students, not your colleagues. Just a bunch of fringe cultists and believers.
The data, right? I mean, I would like to demand right now, here and now, that they release the data on which their conclusions are made. Don't expect anybody to take your conclusions, trust me, bro, without
Gary's watching this show too. We've already established Garry watches this show. So hi, Garry. Thanks for watching. But again,
Here's how I think about it. I think it's sort of like an intelligence test.
it's an intelligence test.
It's rife for ridicule, but if you are sufficiently observant and smart,
Go
you can
on.
jump to the conclusion of
Jump
what
to the
it
conclusion
is without having to have all
to
of
what
the
it
data
is.
that proves it.
Without having to have all the data that proves it. And here he is today.
That they release the data on which their conclusions are made. Don't expect anybody to take your conclusions, trust me, bro, without giving us the data.
Right.
I mean, isn't it great how we just turn around how they have no data on a subject that doesn't have any data? Therefore, their data isn't good. I want to see the conclusions that you came up to with the data that's there, even though there's no data. Right, Garry? There's no data, right, Garry? But there's loads of data. Okay, well, where is it, Garry? Because Hera needs it, am I right? Like, you guys are a bunch of dickheads.
And so it's just the wrong way to go about it. And it's problematic because, at the beginning when they set themselves up, Dr. Kirkpatrick literally said, we're going to do this by the numbers, by the book, by the science. We're going to do it the right way. Okay, well, if you said that, why did you do it this way? I mean, it's not transparency, it's smoke and mirrors. And, for instance, for me, as a scientist in cancer research, making assumptions and claims without evidence is like claiming I've cured cancer without showing the data, right? Or claiming I cured cancer in mice.
You guys are saying aliens are abducting people and kidnapping cows' lips and asses with zero evidence. So you're saying even worse than I've cured cancer. You're saying aliens are visiting and kidnapping us and killing us in some cases and stealing cow lips and asses. Sorry, there's no evidence. I'm telling you, that's what it is. Whereas with the cancer research, there's years of data and research and graphs and papers that were written and test subjects and trials. We can't do any of that shit with UFOs, Dr. Nolan. I don't know if you've noticed, but we cannot do any of that shit with the evidence that's been presented. Fuck me. Why does it take an actor to fucking get you to hear this? Why is nobody telling you this?
Mice.
Oh, that's right. You don't care to hear this shit. You immediately block anyone who even remotely comes close to saying that to you. And you don't engage with anyone outside of your comfort circle, your little safe space here.
Then trying to extrapolate that information to humans. You can't. In science, you have to show your work.
Oh.
All of it, not just...
But on Calling All Beings, you could just skip a few steps and get to the end result of your work. Fucking...
bits and pieces that support your claims. So until they release the raw data, their conclusions are simply put unsupportable. And what bothers me is not so much what they're willing to put out. What bothers me are the 1950s style stenographers like Julian Barnes of the New York Times.
Yeah.
Who
they just hate Julian Barnes. They just love shitting all over Julian Barnes.
Who seem willing to just write what it is that they say without any consideration of whether or not what they're saying is wrong. It's like,
who else does that? I wonder. Who else just writes shit, says it on his show from other people that gave it to him? Matt Ford? If you can make that claim about a New York Times journalist that went to Harvard, we could definitely say it about a lighting tech that works in Los Angeles.
it's like, I'll go further on the 1950s stenographer. It's like the DOD should be asking him or saying, hey, doll, why don't you go get me a cup of coffee? It's the same kind of dismissive attitude in treating the mainstream media and the New York Times of all places as if they are some sort of an errand girl. Come on.
An errand girl?
And I'm going to call out, I've had a conversation with Shane Harris at one point, months ago, where he said, well, look, these are all nice stories and I want to believe the stories, but they're not supporting it with evidence. Well, Shane, you just reported on something and you didn't ask them for what their evidence is.
Right.
So why standard?
They don't have any evidence. Again, Gary, again. That side of the conversation is not making the claims. They don't have to come forward with the evidence. And the evidence that was provided to them wasn't good enough and didn't lead to anything substantial. You've been duped, dickhead. You've been duped. Yes, someone as smart as you has been duped. Or you're just a CIA plant. Worst case. Best case, you've been duped.
Yeah, no, it's this whole trust me, bro thing that Kirkpatrick.
They love watching this show.
Yeah, the hypocrisy is insane. And the other thing too, speaking about the media, the fact that, for instance, News Nation was completely frozen out of that whole.
News Nation is not a news organization. They are not news. Continue.
Sort of pre-dropping of all this information. Chris Sharp,
special hobbyist, not a journalist.
and Mark von Rennenkamp.
Marieke von Kloppenstick. His name's not Mark. It's Marieke. Marieke von Kloppenstick, not a journalist. And he even admits that.
Journalists that actually have been tracking this story, they're educated in the subject.
But does that mean they should have been left out if they requested? No, I think they should have been let in. Personally, I think they should have all been let in. Let them ask all the crazy, stupid fucking questions you want so you could shoot them all down right there in person. I think that was a missed opportunity by the DOD, personally. But I could also understand the DOD not wanting a bunch of fucking UFO kooks in a national security briefing. There are bigger fish to fry. More important things to talk about. And you've got James Fox with his other 12 fucking filmmakers slash self-described journalists sitting in there asking UFO questions for a whole fucking briefing when the questions they ask are just a bunch of conspiracy theory bullshit. Yeah, I can understand why the Department of Defense is like, yeah, let's not invite those idiots. And let's just go ahead and make a blanket all across the board and let's invite the people that are there every day or for every briefing. But yeah, even with that said, I still think it's a missed opportunity. I think you should have let those idiots in there devote one of your press briefings to answering all of these stupid questions and fire them down with facts. And I think that would help a lot. But I think also releasing all 3 videos, Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac, the full versions, would be the nail in the coffin. And I guarantee you, nobody will advocate for that. Not Gary Nolan, not Matt Ford, not Andy McGrillen. Nobody wants the full videos of those. Not Lou Elizondo, not Chris Mellon. Nobody wants the full versions of those videos to come out. Nobody. And that's why nobody's advocating for it. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's yelling about it. Nobody's getting upset about it because they know that those videos in full form completely undercut everything that they're trying to build. Everything. There was one moment here that I wanted to get to.
Ask hard questions. They were left out of that process, completely frozen out, which just blows me away.
But it does.
It's just unfortunate. I mean, it's interesting. If they actually want to even convince the people who have, let's say, a different expectation than what they put out, if they had brought in those kinds of individuals and they had done it in a fair way, in the right way, they could still put out their report.
Agree.
And the New York Times and the Washington Post could.
Why did you put that stinger there, man? You could have put that above his head. Or just found a different, moment where you could put it that here instead of across his face. God damn it. You guys in your fucking headroom, you guys never frame people the way right.
That they did. But at least they wouldn't give
lower the fucking curtain. Get this 15 feet of headspace out of here, man. God damn.
Else the reason to be up in arms about it with righteous indignation.
Right.
And so they just open themselves up to this kind of problem. And further, look at it this way. If you don't think that the Chinese and the Russians are watching this, then you're making a mistake, right? So the Chinese have already basically said that they have a program to at least investigate.
You see, Steve? You see? Some good came out of this show. Please clip away, share away, man.
So, we're living in a pretty unstable world right now. If the Chinese wanted to really embarrass the United States, all they would need to do is come out and say something far more positive about this than what the DOD has said.
Right, but they won't,
And they can make
can't.
the DOD look like a bunch of
because
fools.
The
They can
fucking
make our government
the craft
look
aren't
like
there.
fools.
They don't
So
exist.
to the extent that this is a problem worldwide, or the extent that we're dealing with this as if it were an issue of international relations, the DOD is, by its very actions, and Arrow, perhaps more specifically, and perhaps this is why DNI is upset with them, are putting the
Who
nation
told
at
you
risk.
this shit that DNI is upset with them?
Absolutely.
That's on their shoulders. It's on their head.
It totally is. And at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it completely
totally is.
boils down to that.
Well,
When they
boils
are putting
down.
something out that, in my opinion, is misleading the public, is an attempt to mislead members of Congress and their staffers, that in and of itself jeopardizes national security. Now, going back to the press again, one of the things that, and I'm sure Julian Barnes overlooked it as well, is in this report, they state that 32%.
He just wants to get the fuck out of there.
32% of the cases studied that they cannot explain. That is literally 5 times.
32% of the cases that they cannot explain because there's not enough data. Not because there's so much shocking data and so many angles and so radar and eyewitness testimony and cockpit recordings and 2 different angles from the different camera systems. Like, not because of that. And they couldn't figure out what it was because they got such a great view at it, but because there wasn't enough information to come to a conclusion on it. So that's why 35% of these things fit into a category that could be air clutter, balloons, drones, you name it.
Times the amount of cases categorized as unexplained in Project Blue Book, 32%. Why is the press completely ignoring this?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's a case of, not looking at the evidence, and
I think this is the moment.
trying to decide ahead of time what it is that you want to focus on it's like the bird with the broken wing effect, right? The mother bird that pretends that its wing is broken to draw the predator away from the nest.
I don't know
that's
that
really
analogy.
what this is.
I've never heard that analogy. Such a weird analogy. What bird does that? I'm sure there is a bird that does that. I'm sure he's not wrong, but it's such a weird analogy.
Example of, that I've said this many times. Science is advanced by paying attention to the things that don't fit don't fit on the line. It's the data off the curve where the discoveries are made. And so 32% is a huge number. I mean, and this is kind of strange because even Kirkpatrick pointed out previously, and Arrow pointed out previously, about these metal spheres that are seen moving in inexplicable ways. I mean, if that's not evidence, what is? And that kind of comes.
That's not evidence. That's not evidence. It's not evidence because we have very terrestrial explanations for things that look like that. Very terrestrial.
Around to the question of, what's the threshold for what evidence is? And when are you going to define what it is that meets the threshold for something that is not explicable by current standards? You can't hold everything in limbo forever until you wait until the data.
I don't think it'll be held in limbo if there was actual evidence there, Dr.
Right?
Nolan.
So, look, in science, you lay out your criteria up front. You don't move the goalposts later. By not putting their standards in writing, it allows them to dismiss any evidence that they want, anytime they want.
Right.
And it's playing a game where only one side defines the rules as they go. It's called cheating. That's
pretty much.
That's pretty much the very definition of cheating.
Right.
But it's okay for him to do it.
If they're serious about this investigation, they need to define at what point something is doing, has movements or is moving in ways that are incapable of being explained. You can't say, I just want more data until the data fits what your narrative might be, or hope that people forget about what the case is. The bottom line is, without clear criteria, this report is more smoke and mirrors than science. And Arrow needs to step up, put their standards in writing, They need to stop playing this game with it's not space aliens, it's not ET, because there's lots of other hypotheses out there that it might be. Yeah, it's maybe you can pass a lie detector test by saying it's not ET from Alpha Centauri, but maybe it's something else. And so you need to basically stop playing these verbal finesse and legerdemain games.
Coming from you, that's fucking rich.
I think
that
one
is
thing
rich,
I pointed
Nolan.
out, for instance, with Mick West, he always says, well, show me the data. Or show me the classified data. Well, he knows he's never going to see the classified data. It's a fool's...
You haven't seen the classified data. Garry Nolan hasn't seen the classified data. So you guys are making some big fucking leaps without seeing any of the data. Bigger leaps than what Mick West is saying.
Errand. I think it's the same thing.
So stupid.
With what these guys are doing. If they do not lay out what the threshold is, they can continue to move the goalpost and obviously arrive at the conclusion that they are trying to put out to the public. It's insane.
Well, I think a lot of us had positive expectations about Arrow, that we were going to be bringing true scientists on board, that they were putting a physicist like Kirkpatrick to lead it. We were going to have serious scientists. I mean, not the debunkers like the person you just mentioned. He's not serious.
He's not serious. Yeah, he's not serious. Yeah, not at all. He's just only figured out pretty much all the bullshit that has ever been presented within the UFO community, and has done it in a really respectful, simple manner. I love the idea that they're excited about the scientists and the people in Kirkpatrick until the results come and they then hate them.
And so we just, it's just the days are done to even, consider that person. But what they've done though, by not coming forward and using the rules of science that they claimed that they were going to do, is they basically given everybody the opportunity to point out that in fact they're worse than the debunkers, because the debunkers at least believe in what they're doing. These people believe in putting out disinformation and lying, right? They are purposefully changing the thing. And in science,
perfect.
That's called fraud.
Oh, this is the moment where he gets pissed and he has this really weird moment, but this is so funny. Arrow report has no pictures, 3 out of 10. And I think that's basically what this whole diatribe is. This is Matt Ford and Garry Nolan and Russell Coulthart saying, yeah, there's no pictures in this, 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Set the standard for science, even though there is no evidence. You set the standard. It's 3 out of 10. I love it.
In science, that kind of fraud is what gets you has you lose your job. So, the question for me is at what point are they being allowed to lie, and at what point are they ever going to be called to the mat? And, but again, I want to make sure that people understand, I'm not saying that I know what the conclusion is.
Yes, you
what
have.
I'm saying is that they are throwing out a potential answer before they've truly considered the data correctly. That's the sort of stuff that gets you yelled at in my group meeting.
Ooh.
Understandable.
Ooh, look at that. Look at his face, man. And this is where we're going to end it, because I got to get the hell out of here. It's been over 2 hours. But this is where I wanted to end it anyway. So I'm glad we got to at least this point. Like he's telling you, this would get you yelled at in my group chat. Like I would fucking berate you in front of people. Is the vibe I get.
That's the sort of stuff that gets you yelled at in my group meeting.
Understandable.
Yeah. Like he's proud of that. He's proud that he's known as somebody who will chew your fucking head off in a group meeting. Don't you fucking question Nolan. Don't you fucking dare. He's so proud of it.
Understandable. It's It's
that's all, folks. Good old Matt Ford. But it's all, folks. And that is all, folks, for tonight. Thank you all so damn much for hanging out with me. This was a fun show. I thought... I honestly, I never wanted to do this show because it meant I had to actually consume this guy's fucking content. I never wanted to do this, I don't like his content. I find him nasally and annoying. He's not funny. And it's clear that he's got a ghostwriter or somebody feeding him these supposed facts. And he makes up, and look, this is only 39 minutes and 29 seconds into this 2-hour-long interview. 2 interviews and diatribes and soapboxing. And in just these 39 minutes, the things that these guys have said, the claims that these guys have made about the Aero office, the people that work there, the DNI, Avril Haines, like they are saying all of these things that nobody else is saying. Nobody else is saying with no sources, no evidence, no facts. And then turning around and bitching about a report with no evidence and no facts on a subject that has no evidence or facts. What world is this? Like, seriously, where are we right now? This is insane. And the fact that we've got a guy who's got his name on a building at Stanford is leading this fucking charade is so disconcerting. It really is. It really, really is. It's so weird. So weird. But I had to break this down. Had to talk about this schmo. And I'm glad we did, because I think pointing out the good propaganda's tactics and what they do and the things they say, this is how they get their base riled up. This is how he got the 16,000 subs. This is how he has Patreon members now. And his channel has quadrupled in a year. A channel where he said things like debunkers are only in it for money and clicks, when this guy is the one getting the money and the clicks. He won't show his YouTube stats. Why? Why? Matt Ford, you're being so transparent, so honest. Show us your YouTube stats. I'd love to know how much money you're making just off YouTube. Just off YouTube, pal. I'd love to see the spike in numbers when they came. When your spike in subs came, I've shown my stats multiple times on this show. I've shown people exactly how much money this show makes. At its most popular and then at its least popular. Your turn, Mr. Transparency. Mr. Just saying shit without any evidence. Oh boy. What a shit show. But this is perfect. Disclosure is doomed. It truly is, man. It truly is. You guys, thanks for the super chats that you sent in. I really appreciate it. If you really love this show, I know I say this a lot, but you know, we got our show. If you guys notice, I put the link of Spotify up top. You know, we've got this killer music, like we've got a place to stream. All of these things cost money. They're not fucking cheap. Like, I just renewed my year on all of this stuff. It's like $700, man. Like, this shit is not cheap to do this show. All right. So if you love this show, if you value the show, consider checking out the Patreon. I know not everyone's got the money for it. I get it. And if you don't enjoy the show, it's yours for free forever. Okay? It will always be. There will never be a paywall here. But if you can, please consider. For as little as $1 a month, you could really help out the show. With that said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on this little journey through the realm of the unexplained. Thank you guys for subscribing to Lou Reviews. Thank you for sharing Lou Reviews. Thank you for ringing the bell on Lou Reviews. That way, when we go live, you are notified. Possible that there is a schedule coming. We'll see. If I feel it, maybe we'll do it. 3 days a week. I don't know. To commit to something like that. So again, it's a lot of work, you guys. It's a lot of work. So if you want to see it, let me know. Show me. Let's see here. And is there anything else? Yes. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. And yeah, stay skeptical, stay curious, and thank you for helping raise the bar here on another episode of Lou Reviews. Have a great rest of your week. Happy hump day. Peace out, y'all. Thank you, Steve Long. Thank you very much, man. You're the best. Appreciate the $10 dono. We'll wait till your little emoji comes up and then we're out of here. I love you guys so damn much. Thank you for all the support, truly. Thank you again, Steve Long, and everyone in the chat. Love you guys. Have a great night. Peace. Well, we just got another one. Thank you, Eric Meyer. Cheers back, Eric Moyer. Cheers right back at you, mate. Thank you so damn much. Appreciate it. Damn. Last minute, y'all. Love it. Thank you guys so damn much. I appreciate it. You have no idea. Thank you. We'll wait for your little emoji to pop up as well. Want you guys to get all the love. Thank you, man. Love you all. Thank you.